Destroy your ZEPBOUND plateau and ramp up your ZEPBOUND appetite suppression from somebody who's lost over 106 pounds. We're going to talk today in today's video about two key factors that are evidence-based to help reduce your lunches and meals by 35%. Are you excited to figure out how to implement a 35% reduction in your lunch? I know I am. When I saw this evidence-based data, I was so excited. If we don't know each other, I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I love sharing on GLP-1 weight loss. I've lost over 106 pounds the last 2 years and 3 months of being on ZEPBOUND, Mounjaro, and Tirzepatide compound. The combination of those is because of the shortage. And I really want to do a deep dive. I've got some evidence-based data to share with you, and then also solutions so you can walk away from this video with those two key factors to immediately implement today if you're having a ZEPBOUND weight plateau or you're having ZEPBOUND weight gain, or if you want to help with your ZEPBOUND appetite suppression. Maybe your weight's still trucking along, but you're like, this appetite suppression thing is a little bit tricky. So what it is there's a study that went out. It's from the National Institutes of Health. And I am a nerd data person. I will link these down in the description link below so you can fact check me as well. But basically what this study was, is talking about Tirzepatide, which is Mounjaro and ZEPBOUND, and semaglutide, which is Wegovy and Ozempic. We're significantly reducing two things: our fasting appetite and our energy intake during an ad libitum lunch. And I had to look up what libitum was, and I may be mispronouncing it. But the definition of ad libitum is freely as one wants. So basically at lunchtime, as freely as you want. That's what they were testing, of like, eat as much as you want, eat whatever, like as freely as much as one wishes. So I got excited about that. I don't know if you guys did. I was like, ooh, freely as one wishes. So it was the person's choice in the study of what they were eating for lunch. It wasn't dictated, which I think is the interesting part of this part of the lunch component. But fasting appetite and energy intake, meaning their calories with their free-for-all lunch, basically. And it was assessing then in this 24-hour energy intake and energy expenditure, so their calories in, calories out, not 1990s mentality, but the calories in, calories out, and using respiratory chambers on ongoing clinical trial with this. So what happened, and this is where it's astounding to me, is in 12 weeks, so literally how many, 3 months, in 3 months in this crossover trial with the 1 milligram of semaglutide that they found versus this free-for-all lunch, basically, freely as one wishes for their lunch, that the effect was a 35% reduction with semaglutide with taking the 1 milligram. Now, we know that tirzepatide is higher than semaglutide in terms of data, and this research study also talks about that too. So if you're on Wegovy or Ozempic, your results may be slightly less than somebody like me who's on ZEPBOUND and Mounjaro. So if you're comparing your Wegovy journey to my ZEPBOUND and Mounjaro journey, it's going to be probably a little bit less factually data speaking, just to give context on that. Or if your bestie's on semaglutide and you're on Tirzepatide, you may be doing better than she is with her weight loss, to give some context on that. So much so, this is where it gets spicy, is at the 28-week mark. So that's 7 months in. So if you started in January, we're looking at July, just to give some context in terms of dates, that they found that Tirzepatide versus semaglutide, so ZEPBOUND versus Wegovy, for example, was a 64 calorie difference within the week of eating less, just on that flat line alone. So if you're having a Wegovy weight stall, talk to your healthcare provider. And all this, by the way, is never medical advice. It's simply my experience, strength, and hope for you to talk to your healthcare provider, because I'm not a healthcare provider. I'm just somebody who's lost 106 pounds and gone from morbidly obese to not being able to clip my seatbelts, to not being able to ride roller coaster rides, to not being able to ride horses, to now doing all of those things and being a really good mom and a wife as a result of being more physically active because of ZEPBOUND. So the 64 calorie difference, that's one thing to look at. If you're at a plateau, a weight plateau for Wegovy, switching potentially over to ZEPBOUND. But the difference during the ad libitum lunch, the freely as one wishes lunch, was greater reduction in energy intake with tirzepatide and may contribute to the difference in weight reduction with it. Hence, up to 16 weeks reduction in energy intake at lunch were similar for both tirzepatide and semaglutide, whereas weight reductions separated in terms of week 5. So this is where it gets interesting. In terms of your fasting appetite and your calories in, or they're saying energy intake, but I'm saying that as calories in just because that's how my brain can formulate this data. What I find fascinating on this is, one, just having a 35% reduction on semaglutide, and we're going to correspond that over to tirzepatide. Just straight out the gate right there. If you are not having that reduction, what I want to encourage you is, can you guys see my little plate? I don't know if that's showing up. 35% reduction. There's one plate and here's another plate. We got our 2 plates. One thing I would encourage for that reduction is it's talking about your fasting appetite with that and having that 35% reduction. For me, going from morbidly obese, there was a lot of brain changes that happened as a result of this medication. I could go in between eating longer, so I wasn't eating as frequently, but then also when I was actually eating, my portion sizes were substantially smaller. So 3 plates down to about a salad plate. And so what I want to encourage you, tip number 1 is, have you changed your plates? It could be as simple as your brain, like my brain, for my experience, strength, and hope, my brain had not caught up of why am I eating off of these massive pizza-sized plates? Why am I not eating off an appetizer plate or a salad plate because of this reduction in how much I'm actually consuming? I simply just need to change the plates. Like just making that small shift over as a mental reminder because of decades upon decades upon decades of morbid obesity. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't need to eat this much. My body is telling me I'm full. My brain and my body are giving me signals I'm full. Let's put my fork down. So therefore, literally changing my environment in which I'm eating in, as simple as a plate change. I'm not asking you to go buy all new Le Creuset plates. Get some paper plates for now or whatever, and just simply try this week shifting your plate size to see if that helps with your weight plateau, because it literally could be if you're not weighing and measuring your food. And I'm not saying, for me, that used to be a major trigger, so I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but literally just changing the plate size. Because if we're going from this reduction of this big plate, we have this big plate here, and going to smaller plates, it naturally lends itself for that 35% reduction in lunch. Straight out the gate of literally changing what we're eating on. 2, next interesting fact for me out of this study that I pulled was they were talking about fasting appetite of going from one meal to the next was longer. The fasting appetite on here was reduced, meaning my body's signaling to me, oh, I'm hungry. I'm not having that as much. Being on ZEPBOUND, Tirzepatide, Wegovy, I'm lumping in the GLP-1s with this. And so the other interesting part of this, just catching my brain up for me using beverages. Literally, I love LMNT electrolytes. I have them pretty much every single day. I like taking 1 stick and putting them into 3 separate 40-ounce tumblers of water. That's easier for me. And then I just use a third of the stick. But literally going between that fasting appetite that this study is talking about by using beverages. And people laugh at me. We did our Austin meetup this past weekend. It was so awesome meeting all of you at the Austin meetup. And we all were talking about how we're beverage girlies. We really turned into beverage girlies. And one of the best things for me is LMNT, because of the electrolytes. It has magnesium, potassium, and sodium. It has been so beneficial to have something that tastes good, but also is helping with ZEPBOUND side effects, but is also helping me with that appetite. Now, I use the whole thing in there. We're just going to use the whole thing today, but usually I just do a third, and I'm out in my car and I don't have more water to fill in. But for me, literally one of the best things that I've done for my ZEPBOUND weight loss is having liquids. I don't need to, and my brain thinks I'm hungry, but my body's like, you're not hungry. You're actually very full. So having beverages for me has been super, super helpful, particularly with LMNT electrolytes on there because of the magnesium, potassium, and sodium. And if it's too salty for you, just add more water onto it. But I love LMNT electrolytes because it tastes great. It has in there, you can see there's no dyes or anything like that in there. It has been awesome with my blood sugars. The sticks do have maltodextrin. The cans don't. They do actually have cans, which are great if you're in your car like I am so much. I'm frequently in my car bebopping around. And so it's nice to be able to have the option of both of those. You can get 8 free sticks with any LMNT electrolyte purchase. I've linked it down below, but go to element.com/queen, QUEEN, and you can get your 8 free sticks with any purchase. But it's been a game changer in terms of leapfrogging from that appetite suppression to not engaging. And my brain says I'm hungry, but my body's like, you're not hungry. And so smashing those old and false beliefs that I don't need to have every single time I think I need to have food. I don't need to have food every single time. Like, it's so helpful to be able to have a tool in addition to ZEPBOUND, which is a tool, to not eat every single time. Because before I was eating and I did not need those calories, thus the weight gain with it, because I was eating over excess calories. And so I want to encourage you have you looked up for your appetite changes, your fasting appetite, something to help leapfrog to get you from lunch to dinner or lunch to snack, or however you set up your meals for your meal plan? I do have linked in the description link below my free ZEPBOUND meal plan, which was dietitian created. And also that link too, by the way, I'll link down below the hyperlink for the for LMNT electrolytes to get yours as well with the 8 free sticks with any purchase. But going from these crossovers, now this is the other interesting part of the study that I found really, really significant too, to utilizing these 2 key factors with that 35% reduction for lunch, was the fasting appetite of eating as much as you want, so going longer in between, and then the calorie reduction, it's the energy intake. What that led me to was not eating as crappy foods, not getting sugars and fast food stuff. And my body started to literally, because I was changing the way I was eating, one, I started to crave healthier foods. And we've talked about this in my free encouragement group, which is also linked down below too. We've talked about in the free encouragement group of like sugar begets sugar. And when you cut out sugar, you don't have as many sugar cravings. But also my body naturally really wanted more fruits and vegetables, and listening to my body of being like, oh, I want more fruits and vegetables or more protein, of literally the brain changes of not engaging in as much sugar and not engaging in as much garbage food. Thus also led to changes too of my palate. My palate literally changed. I did a whole, and it's called Ozempic tongue, about how people's like taste buds literally change with GLP-1 medication. You can check out that other video. It was such a game changer to realize, oh my gosh, my taste buds have totally changed over the last 2 years and 3 months. I don't crave the same foods I used to. Here's the wonky part about that. Sugar begets sugar, so eating less of that. But I also know, as I started to evidence stack, it helped me with that evidence stacking, coming from a morbidly obese background, to believe like, oh, I actually can eat healthy foods. There was a confidence increase along with this that I was not expecting, and that this data in this awesome study doesn't talk about, is the evidence stacking that I could do this. Because I had failed at every other single diet I had done, gaining and losing probably 1,000 pounds, to now having something that has consistently worked for over 2 years and being super successful, of where I can lift weights and where I can walk 2 to 6 miles per day, and having the evidence stacking to do all of these things. The evidence just gets more and more compelling that I can do things. And you can do these things too, which is why I want to share with you, what is your evidence stacking this week? Write that down or type it to yourself or text it to yourself. What am I going to do this week? What is my evidence stacking activities to help reinforce these? Maybe it's the simple the evidence stacking of, I want to see if I do have a 35% reduction in my meals this week. Let me go ahead and test that and see, do I have a reduction? I wish my picture would show up for you guys to see. Do I actually have a reduction in that versus what I used to eat? And I don't know about you, but I can go back to what I used to eat. It's been interesting to go back to Christmases when I would like go to the wall with eating. I'm trying to not say a certain word, going full on throttle with my food at, say, Christmas time. That has even been interesting, because for me, this is now my 2nd or 3rd Christmas I've had of where I am not, I didn't eat as much. I couldn't. And how fascinating that is. And so I want to encourage you, if you're having a weight plateau and you're wanting more appetite suppression, 1, just change the plates. 2, look at having beverages in between. And you may not be. For me, when I started to notice like, oh, it's literally just the hand grab, that was what I was looking for, was just the habit of having something, switching it over to electrolytes or water or sparkling water or whatever makes the best sense for you. Obviously, these things just happen as a result of taking the medication. The appetite suppression, the fasting appetite, and the energy intake from the study that I'm referencing, they just naturally happened with it. What I'm saying is utilizing those tools to our best advantage to break through plateaus. And by the way, I want to encourage you, plateaus are totally normal. If you're losing a half a pound to 2 pounds per week, can we please normalize that? That's amazing and you deserve a round of applause. If you're looking for more than that, perhaps it's unrealistic expectations, and maybe changing expectations would be my encouragement for you. 2, if in addition within that 35% reduction of the ad libitum lunch, I'm mispronouncing it, it's the freely as one wishes lunch, they didn't do any sort of behavior modification with it. It was the body just naturally responding to that. And we know that different people have different responses within that. There's been major studies done on that. I'm going to do another updated video on waist circumference of how that is one of the attributes. And if you didn't know, it's type 2 diabetics they take longer to lose weight. Men are taking longer to lose weight on GLP-1 weight loss. And then there's now something that I just was reading about waist circumference. I'll do a whole other video on that. That was fascinating to me. I'm like, oh, it's another piece to the puzzle of why we have hypo responders, slower responders, normal responders, hyper responders are fast responders, and then just normal folk. Within this study, the 35% reduction with semaglutide lunch, having these lunches, it was not, people were eating whatever they want. So within that, they weren't even having behavior modifications, meaning eating more protein, eating more volume. And that's one of the things that for me, for my ZEPBOUND Plateau, I have really been working with is volume. Volume in terms of fruits and vegetables. If you are like me, I'm at a plateau. I'm at the highest dose of everything on the market. ZEPBOUND 15 milligrams. I could go to a compound that is not a brand name, I should say, not on the market, but brand name. I'm on the highest dose of brand name for GLP-1 medication across the entire market. I could go to a compound and go on a higher dose. I'm choosing not to at this point for a couple of reasons, but I was on a compound. I love compounds. You can go to Join Fridays, use the discount code QUEEN. They're great for compounds. But in terms of appetite suppression, can you imagine that 35% reduction in lunch in addition to doing behavior modifications, such as moving a little bit more, just walking an extra mile per day, like doing extra chores around your house or walking your dog, or being intentional about walking an extra mile per day, being intentional about having more fruits and vegetables. For me, I'm going to do a whole other video on this too, so click the like and subscribe button so you can see those later, about volume of making my plate size. Maybe for you, if you go back to this reduction of plate like I'm having right now, I don't have that appetite suppression. So this 35% reduction in plates, I changed my plate size. However, I'm still hungry. My body is signaling to me, you hungry still, girl. So I've gone back to these plates. This is, if you stay till this point, you're getting like, this is the hinge pin. I've gone back to these plate size, but because of the brain changes I have and the evidence stacking I've done over the last 2 years and 3 months, I now am able to put on my plate more fruits, vegetables, and it's not that many more calories with it either. Literally, what was it? A full cup of asparagus was like 32 calories. Something ridiculous. 2 cups of that is like under 75 calories for asparagus. Now that made my pee change smell. Change on it. But you see what I'm saying? Like literally just if you're not having that appetite suppression, that reduction on there, simply bounce in more fruits and vegetables. And that sounds from somebody who has been morbidly obese and gone from diet culture for someone to die. Like it makes me want to punch someone in the face. Not really. I would never hurt somebody, but it literally makes me like, ah! But it has been with volume focus. So helpful. But I go back to what this study was. They did not, the freely as one wishes, that is for my fruits and vegetables, as freely as one wishes. Putting on there celery, carrots, tomatoes. I'm really finding having a variety of vegetables on that plate for me has been super, super helpful. You may not be experiencing this. You may be like, Elizabeth, I'm on ZEPBOUND 5 milligrams and I'm not having anything that you're talking about. Great. Change the plates. Focus in on the beverage changes. Because for me, it wasn't that I was hungry. It was in the action of being hungry. It was in the habit of being hungry, which is why having something to help transition, that's why I love talking about habit changes, is it's not completely eliminating the habit. It's simply replacing it with another habit. And for me, I'm like, okay, I will replace it with having my electrolytes and waters and decaf coffees and decaf teas and things like that have been so, so awesome for me to have success. And as I power through this last little bit of weight, how helpful that has been too, of having something else to shift over to transition over to. In my humble opinion, for this to be lifelong sustainable, I can't white knuckle it the entire time. I got to make behavior modifications on there too. And for some of you, you won't even have to make behavior modifications. This study proves it, which makes me kind of sad too. I mean, I hope people do. I hope people make long-lasting, sustainable changes with activity and also food changes. But this study is proving you don't necessarily have to do that. The reduction is simply coming by taking the medication without having to do anything else. But for me, being morbidly obese, I want to and have the desire to make this lifelong sustainable changes. And plus also, I'm not to my goal weight either. I'm trying so hard, y'all. Like if you are trying hard, if you've got your inner cheetah or inner leopard like me, meow, Like, we are working hard out there, people. We are working hard. I've worked harder for this than I have for a lot of other things in life that have come much more easily to me. Like, oh, I've built 3 multi-million-dollar businesses from scratch. To me, that's small potatoes relative to this weight thing. And I know many of you can relate because you're super successful in your careers too. That at the Austin meetup, that was very evident to me. I'm like, oh, there's so many women, and we have gentlemen too in our community as well, but so many women who are super, they're boss babes. They're powerful in whatever their position is in their workplace. And having this juggernaut of weight, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. So in terms of your action item, I want your action items to be to look at your plate sizes immediately out the gate. And then 2, what beverages can you have in between that appetite changes so you're not grabbing for food when it's habit-based and not necessarily hunger-based. Learning that from me has been and has continued a little bit. I think for the most part I've learned it, but still continues to pop up of like, oh, okay, I got to continue to change my habits with that. 2, what are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? I would love for you to tell me down in the comments down below. 3, if you want to go ahead and get your LMNT electrolytes with 8 free sticks with any purchase, that is also linked down below at element.com/queen, QUEEN. And then also, our emoji of the day is going to be a tiger or a lion. And I do emojis of the day to get to know you better because I truly do care. I'll also link that study down below too. I think the Count on countessofshopping.com, our website for all things GLP-1, if you want to start reading more articles on GLP-1 stuff, the Count should have an updated article on this too. It's really fascinating as well. So my sweet friends, I love you guys so super much. I'm so grateful for you. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye guys. Don't forget to click that like and